So today we'll be studying about the factors that affect the process of transpiration. We'll begin with the external factors. Two categories of factors are there, external as well as internal factors. Mainly external factors are asked. The first one is sunlight, or to be more specific, intensity of sunlight. We all know the connection between sunlight and stomata. Yes, stomata open during daytime and close at night time. So during daytime, when sunlight intensity is high, stomata would open, and they are opening to facilitate intake of CO2 for photosynthesis, but at the same time the water vapor will escape from inside to the outside atmosphere. Therefore, we can say greater is the intensity of sunlight, greater is the rate of transpiration. If the day is cloudy, the stomata are partially open, so rate of transpiration would also be slow. Stomatal transpiration becomes almost nil at night time. Next is temperature. Now, transpiration can be compared to evaporation, and higher is the temperature, faster is the rate of evaporation. So if outside temperature is high, then rate of transpiration is also high. So in general, if you are asked during daytime why is rate of transpiration high, 2 points will be given there. First, intensity of sunlight. During daytime the sunlight is intense, so stomata are fully open, so rate of transpiration is high. Also during daytime temperature is more, so higher is the temperature, faster would be the evaporation of water, and hence rate of transpiration is high. Third is velocity of wind. Now, certainly more transpiration would occur on a windy day than on a still day. If the air is still, whatever water vapor is around the surface of the leaf, it would remain there only, keeping the atmosphere saturated. But if the wind is blowing, it would carry the water vapor with it, creating a concentration gradient, and more water vapor would diffuse out, or diffusion would be faster, because area outside the leaf is not saturated with water vapor. So first three factors you could say are directly proportional, that is intensity of sunlight, temperature and wind velocity. Higher the intensity, higher the temperature, higher the wind velocity, higher would be the rate of transpiration. The next three factors are inversely proportional: humidity, carbon dioxide concentration and atmospheric pressure. That means if they are high, rate of transpiration would be low. Let's see how. Now if the atmosphere outside is humid, that means air is already saturated with water vapor. When outside water vapor content is already high, outward diffusion of this water vapor would slow down, and so rate of transpiration becomes less. Likewise in carbon dioxide concentration. Now CO2 concentration in the atmosphere is approximately 0.03 to 0.04%, but if it crosses this limit, then it leads to stomatal closure. So this is one of the effects of high CO2 concentration on the stomata. If too much CO2 is there, as a defense, the stomata close, and when stomata would close, it would certainly adversely affect the rate of transpiration. Next is atmospheric pressure. Now if pressure outside, specifically atmospheric pressure, is more acting on the surface of the leaf, outward diffusion of water would slow down, thereby reducing the rate of transpiration. So higher humidity, higher CO2 concentration and higher atmospheric pressure slow down the rate of transpiration. So you are asked which factor when in excess adversely affects the transpiration. Main factor would be humidity. CO2 and atmospheric pressure rarely influence the rate, because these factors, it's less often that their percentage or their amount crosses the normal limits, but humidity is a very usual feature. So you will give preference to the first four factors if you are asked: intensity of sunlight, temperature, wind velocity and humidity when you are discussing factors also. And one factor which when increased decreases the rate of transpiration or adversely affects the rate would be high humidity. Coming to internal factors, Internal factor is water content of the leaf. Say for example, the plant has shown wilting. Its cells have become flaccid. In such a case, the guard cells also turn flaccid. When they would turn flaccid, it would lead to closure of stomata. So, water content of the leaf is an internal factor which adversely, like if water content is less, it is going to reduce. So, here also we can say it's directly proportional, not inversely. So, lower water content would lead to flaccid guard cells, which would lead to closure of stomata and hence reduce the rate of transpiration. Next, we move on to the adaptations in plants to reduce excessive transpiration. Now, usually these adaptations, most of them are shown by desert plants. We know that desert plants are xerophytic in nature and they have the ability to survive in climates with scarcity of water. First one is sunken stomata, which features very often in your exam. An example is a desert plant, a xerophytic plant, Nerium. Now, what exactly is a sunken stomata? This is a section of the leaf, and in this section, this is the lower epidermis, what you can see. So, we had done a normal section of the leaf earlier. The lower epidermis of the leaf should have been in continuity here, but what happens in Nerium? It becomes infolded like this. So, this is just the lower portion. These are the spongy cells. This is the vascular bundle. So, if you recollect the internal structure of leaf and come down to the lower epidermis, so here lower epidermis has become infolded, formed a kind of pocket. And these are the epidermal hair. Desert plants often have lot of hair on the epidermis. This stomata, which was supposed to be here somewhere if lower epidermis was continuous, due to infolding, these stomata have come enclosed inside these pockets. These are the stomata. And moreover, there are hair also, epidermal hair also present in xerophytic plants. Now what happens outside? Temperature is very high in a desert, so air relatively is very dry due to high temperatures. So lot of water vapor would immediately want to diffuse out, but desert plant needs to conserve that water. So what happens in this sunken stomata case? An artificial atmosphere is created in this pocket. Outside is the normal desert environment, but just in this pocket a false kind of environment has been created, giving an appearance as if outside air is fully saturated with water vapor. Let's see how. Like here, water vapor diffuses out, it would come into this area, but the presence of these hair would block its outward diffusion. More hair are there from at the mouth also. It would block its outward diffusion. So this area would be saturated with water vapor. So water vapor from outside would diffuse at a slower speed here because of the difference in the concentration is very less, and often this air becomes so saturated that water vapor stops diffusing out. So this is how desert plants are able to survive in the hot climate, because they hardly lose any water, whereas otherwise at high temperature they should lose lot of water in the form of vapor. But this is one adaptation, that is sunken stomata found in Nerium. So you are asked that what is the significance of sunken stomata in Nerium? The sunken stomata help to keep the outside atmosphere just outside the stomata saturated with water vapor. Moreover, epidermal hair are also present surrounding the stomata or the guard cells, which make outward diffusion of water vapor more difficult, and hence the overall rate of transpiration is brought down. So it is an adaptation to check excessive transpiration. Next is fewer stomata. In many plants, desert plants, the leaf size becomes reduced, they become narrow, or otherwise also the number of stomata are reduced. If area of leaf is reduced, number of stomata automatically gets reduced. Another adaptation in Nerium is leaves are very narrow and thin, again reduced surface area, so fewer number of stomata. Fewer is the stomata, lesser would be the rate of transpiration. So if you are asked how is Nerium adapted to live in desert, 2 points will be written here. First, it has sunken stomata covered by hair, which make outward diffusion of water vapor difficult and hence reduce the rate of transpiration. And second, it has narrow leaves which provide lesser surface area and thus fewer stomata, and so rate of transpiration is reduced. Then reduced exposed surface. Now some leaves get rolled. They are special cells called bulliform cells. Bulliform cells are present on the margin of some leaves, of some kinds of grasses, and they help in rolling of the leaf. When the leaf gets rolled or folded, the exposed surface area reduces, and so rate of transpiration also gets reduced. Some desert plants lose their leaves as an adaptation. So if they lose their leaves, again number of stomata is reduced, or they change their leaves or modify their leaves and form spines like in case of cactus or babool. So reduced leaves, leaves lost or leaves changed to spines are all adaptations in desert plant to cut down rate of transpiration. Many have a thick cuticle, like banyan leaves have a very thick cuticle, multiple epidermis, a very thick cuticle, which also helps to reduce the rate of transpiration. So these are all the adaptations in plants to reduce excessive transpiration. Coming up next to the significance of transpiration. Now we had done this in previous lesson also, that transpiration creates a kind of suction force, and due to this suction force what happens? The ascent of sap occurs. So water and minerals are able to move upwards in a plant against the force of gravity, even in tall trees up to several meters long, against the force of gravity due to this suction force created by transpiration. And as it moves up, it gives water and minerals to different parts of the plant. So distribution of water and mineral salts can be written along with this point, suction force, that transpiration creates a suction force due to which water and minerals move upward against the force of gravity and are thus distributed to different parts of the plant. 2 points of significance are asked. So this and this point can be merged. And of course the main point is that just like evaporation causes cooling, transpiration is a kind of evaporation which produces a cooling effect. So the plant would die if it will not transpire. That is why we call it a necessary evil. So these are the 2 points of significance of transpiration.